festival kirtan. And during that kirtan, all the associates of Sri Krishna at that time, they manifested. And at that time, Uddhav manifested also. And then it was revealed that this is the place where Uddhav received the benediction that he could become like a blade of grass or a bush in Braj. And he would receive the dust of the lotus feet of the gopis of Krishna. So Uddhav, the name itself, it means festival of joy. Uddhav was manifesting himself as a liberated soul, a Nitya Siddha Parika of Sri Krishna. He was a disciple of Brihaspati. He was so erudite. He was so intelligent. He was very, very beautiful looking. He looked like Krishna. Very beautiful limbs and eyes, etc., dark complexion. From his childhood, he was playing with dolls like Krishna, worshipping Krishna. So he's Nitya Siddha Parika. He's described as being a Jnani Bhakta. This means he understood fully the Aishwarya aspect of Krishna. This is his Sthayi Bhav. He's fixed in that mood of appreciating the greatness, the opulence of Sri Krishna. So he would honor Sri Krishna in that way. But when he was taking instruction from Brihaspati, there was one part of the instruction that he couldn't take. Or Brihaspati couldn't teach him, and that was the Prem Shastra, because he had not lived in Braj at that time. So one time when Krishna had moved to Mathura, he was feeling great separation from the gopis, from the Brijbasis, Nanda Baba, Yashoda, etc. He was feeling great remorse, and he was feeling that there's no one here that can understand my feelings of separation. There's no one at all that I can relate to who knows what I'm feeling, who knows the condition of my heart. And at that time, Gurudev describes that Uddhav, he appeared before Sri Krishna, and Krishna, he took his hand onto a rooftop and he pointed out to Vrindavan. He said, I want you to go as a messenger to console the Brijbasis, to console Nanda Baba, to console Yashoda Mai, and to console the gopis. They are suffering in such deep separation from me. They have so much affection from me. Krishna wanted to send a message to the Brijbasis. At the same time, he wanted Uddhav to be educated in actually what is the height of their prem, what is their love. The Vrishnis living in Mathura, they were considering that their love for Krishna was so exalted. They were actually related to Krishna through Vasudeva and Devaki. They were related to Krishna, and they were thinking, being Krishna's relatives, that they had so much special praying for Krishna. But Krishna wanted to purify this misconception within the heart of Uddhav. So he gave him many messages to send to console the Brijbasis. Then Uddhav, he took one wonderful chariot and he went to Vrindavan. And he arrived at the time of Goduli, the time when the cows are returning, when the dust is filling the air, when everything is darkened by this dust. And Yogamaya, she allowed him to see the nature of Vrindavan when Sri Krishna was present. And Uddhav was witnessing this great festival of Goduli that happens every day during the Braj Leela pastimes, when Krishna returns with all the cowherd boys and he's covered in dust. He has a beautiful garland on him, and the garland isn't touched by a single grain of dust, because the cowherd boys, Sridham, Subal, Damsaka, etc., they're taking off each piece of dust on his beautiful garland. So he comes very splendidly into the village at this time. And Uddhav, he was seeing that the cows in the field, they were rutting in joy. The cows, the mother cows, their udders were full. The calves, they were frolicking in the meadows. The gopis, they were singing. All the sacrificial fires were alight. Everything was very, very auspicious. The forests were blooming with flowers. Uddhav, he saw this beautiful vision of Vrindavan while Krishna is present. This was on sunset. And then he made his way, almost unknown because of the dust, no one could actually see him arrive, to Nanda Baba's house. Nanda Baba had understood that a great personality was visiting his house that day, so he engaged one Brahmana to make some sweet rice. Gurudev describes the sweet rice didn't even have sugar in it. Actually, the condition of Braj was totally contradictory to the vision that Uddhav had just seen that Spurti that Yogamaya had allowed him to see. Actually, Mother Yashoda, she hadn't practically cooked at all since Krishna had left. Nanda Baba was just sitting weeping. Gurudev describes how Yashoda Mai, she couldn't weep any more tears. She was just like a statue, sitting frozen on her chair. She couldn't speak, she couldn't say anything. The devastation of separation was overwhelming. And Uddhav, he came into this atmosphere now in the house of Nanda Baba. And he began to speak. Nanda Baba, he spoke first to Uddhav. He welcomed him very nicely. But Nanda Baba couldn't speak about Krishna. First of all, he was saying, oh, how are all the relatives in Mathura, etc. He was talking about anything else except Krishna because it would break his heart. And then finally, he began to inquire about his darling Lala, about Sri Krishna. And then Uddhav was replying that everything is fine. And Uddhav, being a Jnani Bhakta, this means he understands the Aishwarya, the all-pervading personality of Sri Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead. So Uddhava is thinking Krishna in this mood. Nanda Baba is of course thinking that Krishna is just my darling Lala. Nanda Baba could not shift from his Vatsalya Bhav, but Uddhav also could not shift from his vision of Aishwarya. So in their conversation, Uddhava was telling Nanda Baba, why are you weeping? You know, you have the personality of Sri Krishna, he's the supreme personality of Godhead, as your darling son. What reason is there to weep? But Uddhava, his intelligence was actually tested. He didn't know whether to say, oh Nanda Baba, you shouldn't be weeping now. He didn't know whether to say this or how to actually console Nanda Baba. He had never experienced the height of this prem, this Vatsalya prem that Nanda Baba had. He couldn't speak at all to Yashoda Mai. She was completely just too devastated. But they engaged in conversation throughout the night, and Krishna was saying, Uddhava was saying, at one point he was extolling the glories of Sri Krishna. And for a moment, Nanda Baba was appreciating this understanding of Krishna being such a great personality. Because Garga Rishi had told him that actually your son is going to be likened to having the qualities of Lord Narayan. So Nanda Baba was remembering these things, and momentarily he was actually swayed by this mood of Aishwarya, but only for a moment. And then this Vatsalya Prem rose in his heart very strongly, and at that time he just became silent in great unhappiness. And then Uddhav, he engaged in conversation throughout the night, and in the morning time, Gurudev describes that he went to Krishna Kund in Nandagaon, and he bathed in Krishna Kund, and when he came out of that Kund, he saw to his right, he saw this beautiful Kadamba forest which is there at Uddhav Kyeri. At that time, 5,000 years ago, these trees were so enormous, huge, and deep within that forest he saw some illumination, and he understood that these are the gopis. The gopis are still remaining where the chariot of Akrura departed. The gopis were still there, so Uddhava, he approached them in a very humble mood. And the gopis, they were astonished to see, who is this beautiful, handsome man? He looks like Krishna, he's acting like Krishna. But they understood that he's not Krishna. And they understood intuitively, this is a messenger from Krishna. And they all gathered around Uddhava, and they began to converse with him. And they were feeling great pain and suffering that Krishna had left them and not returned. The only reason why they were maintaining their lives is because Krishna had promised, I will return in a day or two. And now months and even a year or so had passed, and still Krishna hadn't returned. So they were not feeling very comfortable. They were hurt, and they were saying to Uddhav that actually, what is this when someone rejects somebody else? They couldn't understand how Krishna could reject his own relatives, his parents. They couldn't understand this. What to speak of rejecting them or not coming back to see them? And they were giving examples like a bird, a bee, a bumblebee, it goes to a flower and it takes the nectar, then it leaves it. Like a prostitute, like she will go to someone with money, and then when she has the money she'll leave. Like a bird in a tree eating the fruits, but when the fruits have all gone, the bird will leave. Or like a forest, the animals will dwell in the forest, but if there's a forest fire, all the animals will leave. They were making all these material analogies about the cruelty of Krishna. And then Uddhav, he noticed this one other person Sri Radha. Sri Radha had become so emaciated due to separation. It's described that even her breast became blackish. She was totally skinny. She was practically on the point of leaving her body. And she was standing there, and a bumblebee came at that time. And this is the beautiful example in the Bhagavatam of all the demonstration of all the moods of Chitra Jalpa. So these senior Vaishnavas, they will explain these topics. But in this mood, all of the madness, Divyan Mad, of prem was exhibited. And Uddhav, he was witnessing this extremity of prem. Gurudev describes so many times that if someone looks up at a mountain and they're wearing a hat, if the mountain becomes so high, their hat drops off. Similarly, Uddhav became so overwhelmed with amazement and astonishment to see the extraordinary height of the gopis' love and mood of separation from Krishna. He had never begun to experience or even imagine that state of praying for Krishna. And then he was fully understanding the insignificant amount of praying that he actually had for Krishna. He was seeing this was inferior to the gopis. So Gurudev describes how he came to the school of Vishaka and Lalita, and he dwelt in Braj for 2 months, assimilating and appreciating the depth of their moods, and then he returned to Krishna. But this place where we have come is the place where we remember Uddhav, because just across here, parallel to here, is Kusum Sarovar. And there, during this kirtan, the Brajanaba, the grandson of Krishna, Uddhav revealed himself that this is where he had taken birth again as the shrubs and grasses. Uddhav just wanted the dust, that Charanarena, he wanted that dust from the gopis' feet. He knew that this was the only way that he could possibly understand or experience something of that prem of the gopis. So in this place, we remember the extraordinary prem of the gopis. We remember this great personality, Uddhav, who is mentioned in so many places within the Bhagavatam. In the 3rd canto, there's beautiful conversations between Uddhav and Vidura and Maitreya. And Uddhav was there when Krishna performed his final pastimes in the 11th canto. There's the Uddhav Sandesh, very, very beautiful instructions that Uddhav is receiving from Krishna. So Uddhav is a great, very prominent, special personality, a Nitya Siddha Parikar of Sri Krishna. So today at this place we honor this person and we pray for his enthusiasm. He's a Prematur Bhakta. This is the topmost Bhakta of Krishna. Prematur means very, very greedy. He's very greedy. He's very enthusiastic to appreciate what is the prem that the gopis have for Krishna. What is the quality of that separation mood? What is the quality of their meeting in union? What is that sweetness that the gopis possess? So here we're taking the water from this kund, we're taking the dust from this place, and we're remembering all these brilliant pastimes that Sri Uddhav has revealed through his pastimes with Krishna, and we're praying for Srila Gurudev to give us understanding of the gopis' separation moods that Sri Uddhav so much wanted to experience by receiving the dust of their lotus feet on his head. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Uddhav Kund ki jai, Gaur Premanandi.